This is nannuoshan. I'm Gabriele. Welcome to the fourth tea class of the Tea 101 series. We start with green tea after the first three classes about white tea. If you missed those, they are on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and have a view of those classes as well. But it is summer. We just received plenty of fresh green tea that we are hurrying up, taking photos of, describing them to put them on the site. For those that are really watching real time on Teams, because by the way, everyone can join these classes every Sunday at 6 p.m. or actually we try every Sunday, it's not always every Sunday at 6 p.m. we stream live. There is a link on our YouTube videos, so you can just read in the description below. Or for those that are on Discord, there is also an event there and we send a reminder as well just before the class start. So the first batch of fresh green tea will be online in just a few days and more will follow later on. Some of those that I see online right now are actually involved in the description and in making these happen. Every year when we get the big batch from the spring harvest is a lot of work to put everything together. And the first teas that we really want to bring out are the green tea. Now, I've been thinking a little bit scared for a while about how I should structure these classes that are not really meant to be structured, but green tea is such a big topic and overwhelming in a way that I really didn't know at the beginning how to approach these, and I thought I will bring you along on a journey. So basically we will travel together from one place to the next and we will discuss what teas are made in the place we are traveling, and of course are all places we have been traveling with. I will share with you also some photos, maybe some videos of our tea sourcing there. And we get started with China because green tea, as any other type of tea, was born there, was invented there. And before we really jump into the specific teas, we have also to discuss briefly what's green tea. And I know that those of you that have been drinking tea for a while know exactly what I'm gonna talk about, the way it is processed, why it is called green tea, and so on and so forth. We have heard about those things many times, but maybe I could actually approach that in a different way, right? How everything might have started back centuries ago. We know that before tea was a drink for tasting, for taste appreciation, it was actually an herb like others used for medicinal purposes or also just for cooking. Even today in China, tea is used sometimes as part of the meal. Not just as a drink, but really to cook with the tea leaves. So especially in these in the frame of cooking with tea, we're speaking cooking, right? So boiling the leaves or maybe putting the leaves in a pan together with other ingredient and cooking them. So already early in the days, the tea leaves were picked and then cooked. And they might have noticed for sure that when you cook the leaves, doesn't matter how you cook them, they remain green, while if you take the leaves and you leave them there, they become darker over time. And so they call this tea green tea, because by the act of cooking it, of heating it up, what today we call the shaqing, kill the green in Chinese, we stop what we know being an enzymatic oxidation of the leaves and we preserve the green color. So that's what green tea is about. And when probably the people started calling it green tea and drinking it and cooking with it, they even didn't know that it's about oxidation, but they just realized it. That's at least my assumption, just by chance, if you want, by the way of using it. And China is very famous for green tea abroad, but also in China itself. It is by far the most drunk tea in China. And also, I have to say, for most of my, actually for all of my early days tea sourcing trips in China, I was always traveling there in spring because of green tea. And this was the case since even before nannuoshan existed, up to just before COVID. Then with COVID, I was for a few years no more able to travel to China. That was not possible. And we had to come up with something different to source the fresh green tea. Luckily, we had developed a lot of contacts over the years, so it was not too difficult. And after COVID, I haven't been actually, I was thinking before, traveling so much in green tea producing area. And I think I should actually. I mean, the reason why I haven't done it, because over the years we have collected so many contacts that I don't really have to go too much into exploring for new ones. But by looking at the photos today of those early days, I really wanted to, I really felt, you know, I have to go back and doing some tea exploration, really. Like I say tea sourcing, but back in the days for green tea was really tea hunting. And I even thought for those that are into participating to our tea tours or have been already participated, that maybe at a certain point we could do a little bit of a different tea tour in which we don't organize the places we go. We just go in China together for a certain amount of day. We pick up a few locations and we go and search for new teas. We might be successful, we might be less successful, but then you would experience really firsthand how it is to go in a place where you know there is good tea and try to find it. If actually this is something that you would like doing, let me know, and maybe we can organize it, because there is not so much to organize except for buying a flight ticket actually, and then everything is improvised on the spot. But back to our, warming up some water here. I'm drinking this one. It's Ganlu Superior. It's not the tea I'm gonna talk about today, but I had it here, and so and I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite green teas. So I'm gonna drink it. Where to start? It's I mean, we will start in Shanghai. We start in Shanghai just because it is my hub when I go to China, and since I have to bring you on a journey, I will bring you on a journey that I'm familiar with. So let me share my screen. And we are here in Shanghai. Now, today we will speak about, we will start speaking about the most famous green teas, but maybe, or at least partially, maybe from a perspective that you haven't seen. I wrote for reference on this piece of paper here how I would like to approach each tea. I would like to discuss showing you the map like we have here on the screen. And actually, I'm not sharing it with you, I'm realizing, wait, because I started recording it, but I don't share it. We do here. Share. All right, now you should see my screen, right? And I will show you the map. We will travel to a place. I will maybe share some photos, discuss the appearance of the tea, discuss the taste for sure, and also how it is processed. And I brought a few destinations here that I want to travel with you today. And the first one is actually the very first place I have been traveling to source tea for nannuoshan. And you might, I don't know if you know this, but actually, if you go on the nannuoshan shop, I mentioned this a few times, but not very often, and you go here, you can search a product by name. Let's say that you want to, I don't know, what do we want, Donding. You can write Donding, and you find, of course, all the Donding we have, quite a few. But you can also write, if you know it, the code of the tea that you find, for example, on the receipt. Now I invent one, I don't know if it will be online. Yes, T760 is a green tea, Xinjiang Maojian 2025, and just by the code you can find it. And if I buy, and this is the 760 tea that we source for nannuoshan. The very first one would be T001 that, well, I don't know, I find this one just because of the 2000 but the T001 is not online, and also the T002 is not online. You just find the T from 2022. And T001 and T002 were actually Biluochun. So those were the very two T's. I don't think I mentioned this ever. And so you have to, did I forgot it already? Yes. You have to think that we are in Shanghai, and an easy way to get started is to go searching for Biluochun, because it's just not too far away. We take a high-speed railway train and we go to Suzhou, which is just half an hour by high-speed train. Where's my mouse? Here, so we take from Shanghai, we go here. Easy to recognize because there is this big lake, the Taihu lake, and there is Suzhou. And then there is an island in the center of Suzhou and also a peninsula. And this is the region where Biluochun comes from. Now, the interesting aspect is that Biluochun is one of the most famous green tea in China. I would say the second most famous, at least if we look at the past, let's say, decades. If we just look at the past years, then there are other teas that are just right now very popular, like for example, still Anji Bai Cha, that maybe at the moment might even be more famous than Biluochun. But historically, after Long Jing, I would say there is Biluochun. It is, however, way less popular than Long Jing. Like Long Jing is unreachable in terms of popularity, and Biluochun is also famous, but I would say not everyone in China knows Biluochun, but certainly everyone has heard of Long Jing. Now, let me share again. In Suzhou, it's easy to go to Suzhou, but then to reach these places is a little bit less easy. And there are, we mentioned this island and this peninsula, and these are two names that you want to remember if you want to connect Biluochun with the geographic position. And it's also, maybe for those of you that want to venture, this is usually what I suggest to customers that ask me, I'm gonna go to China, would like really to experience tea gardens myself and so on, and I'm okay to be a little bit adventurous. Then I tell them, yeah, go here because it's not too far from Shanghai, and you experience really real tea and real tea farming. And you can choose to go on Dongshan. You see it's written here, Dongshan Zhen. Zhen means city, Dongshan means east mountain, because it is just east of this other one, which is Shishan. Shi means west, so it is the west mountain. The west mountain is actually an island, and the east mountain is a peninsula. You see there are a little bit of mountains on both, one here and one there. That's why it's not called just west and east, but there is a mountain as well. I have mainly been actually to Dongshan. I think I've been to Shishan only once. And if we zoom in a little bit here, you see that actually there is the Biluo village, Biluochun, Biluo village. So it's there is even a village here that is called like the tea, or the other way around. I'm pretty sure actually the village took the name of the tea and not the other way around. And places that I have been, a few places here, also Biluochun as well. You have this mountain, it's not very big actually, 1 kilometer, this mountain is probably like 6-7 kilometers long. It's not that big. And I've been in this village, I remember, Luxianzong, really nice. So, might be a destination also for you if you want to go there. And the what I really liked about being there is that it's not very touristic. At least last time I was there, we said it was before COVID. It's a famous tea, but you still differently than, for example, certainly Long Jing, but also Huangshan, Maofan, the Yellow Mountain. It's not touristic, and you can really everything is about tea. Like if you go in those places, you see bushes everywhere. I'll share some picture with you of some traveling I did there. Just a moment. Yeah, let's discuss it with those. Also, Biluochun is it's a tea that for me is objectively is a really good tea. Like there are reasons that I could find why Anji Bai Chai is not complete, while Long Jing is good, but is good more because of the final roasting than for everything else. In Long Jing, there is more complexity behind. Like if someone would ask me, give me an example of a complete and really good green tea, I would think about Biluochun. And this is what you may experience also if you travel there. I said these pictures are from a while ago, but I don't think it's changed that much. So you find farmers that prepare tea. Green tea is prepared always in the same way, just a bunch of leaves in a glass. You see here in the bottom different harvests that are just prepared. And look also at the size of the bag. This is a single wok tea, so they just have usually not always, but usually single bags, usually with the date, and it's just the picking of that morning. They roast it in the wok, and then they keep it separated, especially at the beginning of the harvest. Later on, they tend maybe to mix them as well and sell larger quantities. But here we are really in the very early days of the harvest. What is important about Biluochun is that it's famous for being fruity, and this is said because it's planted amid fruit trees. Now, whether these fruit trees really bring a fruity taste, I leave it to you, but they certainly bring shadow. And you see these are tea bushes here. I'm standing under a fruit tree, and there are other fruit tree here, and here one more. Here you have another picture, and you see that these bring shadow to the bushes. However, yes, not every garden is protected. Like you see that here on this hill, the bushes are very exposed to the sun. And is a tea that requires long processing. So you basically bring your leaves back home. The farmer bring the leaves back home. They put small quantity, I don't know, maybe few hundred grams of leaves really in a wok, and it takes maybe 20-30 minutes of processing by hand to do the final product all in one. There are no additional step. At the end, you can drink it after half an hour. And this is not that every Biluochun is done like that. We are really speaking about single farmers doing small batches. Like, of course, there is also larger production. But here is, my opinion, is quite easy to find this type of production. You see here, I believe, is actually different pickers that brought different leaves, or they just were all together. They have been split, and they are probably each of them for a wok. This is actually another year and also another location, and I want to show you a few more steps. I have also some videos that I can show you, but you see that here the leaves are kneaded like you would do with the dough per hand on the hot wok, and then they are spread out in the air just to cool them down. And there is even more process than that. And after 20-30 minutes, you get this tea. And an aspect that is really important about Biluochun is that these white fuzz that you see on the leaves, we will see examples in which the appearance of the leaves is not necessarily an indication of the taste. In Biluochun, I have always found a certain association between the amount of these fuzz and the taste, because these white hairy leaves are actually the very tiny buds, and the more you have, the fresher and the early on was the harvest. I mean, here is just another garden to show you more how much different plants are planted together with the tea bushes. And actually, I have also 2 videos that I will try to share. Let's see if that works, so that you can see a little bit better how is the processing of Biluochun. Just a moment. I'll probably remove the audio, otherwise it's super loud, but have a look and just follow the movements of the hands. I'm not sure about the quality by streaming a video, but you let me know. And she's the picker. She went out in the morning picking the leaves, she came back, and then she just processing the leaves as well. But she was probably hired by this family to go and pick in the leaves in their garden. So you see how she keeps always the leaves in movement, otherwise you have the risk that they get burned. It's gas fired. I have also another video from her, more further later in the processing, where you see that the leaves are already a little bit drier. And you see she passed them in between the hands like this. And this is something that really you could experience firsthand going and visiting these places. I mentioned before that different picking is also, different quality, the different amounts of the white fur, and there is. In generally in green tea, you can say in green tea in China, there is the tendency of distinguishing between before and after Qingming, but probably Biluochun is the tea where this differentiation is more present than in other teas. So like if you go in this area, they tend to tell you this tea is Qingming, which is around the 4th and the 5th of April, around these days. It is the Qingming festival, or it is Mingqian, which means before Qingming. So this is the most precious Biluochun. So if you see a Mingqian, it's written. I write it here. Well, actually, if I write it in the chat, people don't see it. So I do like this. I just write it here. So you have Qingming is the Qingming festival, and you would find it like this. And if you have it's Ming Qian, like this, is before Qingming, and it is everything before the 4th and the 5th of April. So if you find a Ming Qian Biluochun, it means it's done before, and is usually the most precious ones. So I mentioned that in terms of taste is really full. It's a relatively bitter tea. It's more bitter than other green tea, but is a very pleasant bitterness. It's like if you like coffee without sugar and you know to appreciate that type of bitterness. Here is a different type of bitterness, but it's the same thing. It's good taste despite being bitter in a way. It's really good bitterness and very full in your mouth, very fresh. Now I'm thinking. No, I think Biluochun we covered it. The name of the tea means the spring green nail because it's very curled because of the way it is processed. And after Suzhou, we travel now to Long Jing. I could have started with Long Jing actually, being yeah.
There is still a question in the chat.
Sorry. The hair is called Hai Bao, right? Also Hai, I never heard it like this, so I should search it myself. Hai Bao. That doesn't. Maybe let's check on. I cannot answer that. So someone was asking if the hair, the fuzz, the white fuzz, is called Hai Bao. That sounds maybe. Now you see you cannot find it. Maybe Bai Hao makes more sense. Okay, here they speak about downy young leaves and it means white hair by how. So that's probably the one you were referring to, not Hai Bao, but by how, which means white hair or down. So that's the term. Okay, yeah, thanks for helping me in also following the chat. Otherwise, here is a bit complicated. But now let's travel to Long Jing. What can I say? Actually, I could have started with Long Jing because Long Jing is actually the first place where I have been for green tea, even before nannuoshan existed. My first trip for Biluochun was for sourcing tea for nannuoshan. My first trip to Long Jing was just for myself to discover a new tea places. So from Shanghai, we go back to Shanghai, we go to Hangzhou, a couple of hours. And now look at this, Hangzhou. I ask in the chat, without looking, guess how many people lived in Hangzhou? You can write it in the chat or just speak out while I prepare. And without looking, you can also from home or watching on YouTube, making your guess.
Maybe about like 10 million.
Georgi say about 10 million. Detlef say like 3 million. Let's see who gets closest. How big is the, let's say, the metropolitan area of Hangzhou? A few more people are typing, so I will wait. I can prepare another cup of Ganlu. 4 million, 15 million. All right, I mean, some of you went close. I knew actually by memory, I remember it was above 10 million. I checked before this video, and in 2020, so 6 years ago, the metropolitan area of Hangzhou was above 13 million people. It's a fairly large city. It's the 5th largest city in China. So if we switch now to the satellite here view, you get an idea of how densely populated is the area. Yeah, there are, just in this area where that I'm going with my mouse through, there are more than 10 million people. And actually, even on the other side of this river, there are a lot, there is, a lot of people living there. And Long Jing is here. You see that the Shi Lake, the West Lake, is here, is pretty much in downtown Hangzhou. Like, this shore of the lake is very close to the center of Hangzhou. Here, the length, the length of the arrow of my mouse is just a few hundred meters. Okay, so it's here we are really in the center. And on the other side of the lake, you see that there is this region here in a forest. This is where the village of Long Jing is. But nonetheless, we are speaking at about probably 6 to 8 kilometer distance, less than 5 miles distance from downtown Hangzhou. So the Long Jing village was a village back some centuries ago, but nowadays it is basically a big forest park in the city of Hangzhou. I know it might not sound as romantic and idyllic as you wish, but that's just the reality. You can go to Hangzhou by train, you take a city bus, and you go to Long Jing, and you pile up with many other tourists, and you visit Long Jing. And to be more precise, I have to search a little bit myself. Actually, the village of Long Jing is here, this area. I don't see it written, but this is Long Jing, so actually. Yeah, you see this village here. And it's still, I mean, despite my introduction, it's still a nice place to visit, right? Just don't expect the same experience as in Suzhou. It is way more touristic, is very famous, and also is a little bit less authentic, and there is way more risk of being scammed with a tea that doesn't come from Long Jing. Like Long Jing areas you've seen is not very big, and the tea is very famous, and so you get Long Jing like tea produced everywhere in China and also been transported to Long Jing and sold it there. Now, if we speak, and I will go back in a moment about the geography, but if we speak about the taste of Long Jing traditionally, is all about nuttiness and roastiness. It is a tea that is roasted in the wok traditionally, and it's roasted at higher temperature or a bit longer contact with the wok than Biluochun, and it brings you that roasty flavor into the leaves. It's not something that comes from the leaves itself. You can process Long Jing also as a very floral tea if you fire it at low temperature. And actually, Long Jing sometimes, especially early picking, is actually processed as a floral tea, not as a roasted tea. But if you go with the traditional taste, you get that roasty taste. And this is something that is very characteristic of Long Jing, not only of Long Jing, but certainly of Long Jing, to the point that this is what people sought after. And if you are a farmer and you want to sell your Long Jing, what do? You actually roast it fresh. Like, even if it has already been processed and you have people coming over, you put the leaves in the wok, you roast them a little bit, you fire them, and you get that, you awake that roasty fragrance in the leaves. And this is something that probably, guys, you can do at home, guys and girls. So you can just try. Warm up a pan, put your leaves, Long Jing, just a portion of Long Jing in the pan, saute a little bit, just a few minutes, even less, and you get more roasty flavor out of the tea. Although also longing is traditionally processed in single batches in the wok. The processing and the way you use your hands is very different, and also the taste is very different. Certainly because the plants are different, but mainly because of the processing. The shape of the leaves is very different. We can, let me pull up some images for you. Actually, I do something now. I'll take the picture of T001, if I still have, I have to check, and T002, which were the two Biluochun, and actually T003 and T004, the third and the fourth T of nannuoshan history, were Long Jing. So this is something I didn't check actually before, so I'll try it real time now, and we see if I still have those photos, and if that's the case, I will share them. Okay, it's more difficult than I thought because I realized I have archived some of those, but let me try. There is also a question. Okay, I will read it in a moment. I want to find this T001. Ah, I found it. Isn't it? I thought I found it. Yes. Okay, it's not the best photo ever, but you know, it's also the very first one. So this is T001, the first Biluochun, the first tea that we harvested, that we sourced for nannuoshan, and I'll check also for 002. And then we compare it with Biluochun. Yeah, it's an even worse photo, but that's how it is. This was the higher quality with more white far, and this was the lower quality with less. See it here. And now we try with T003. See, you can find, not sure though. Ah, yeah. And this much better picture, the third one, eh? But actually this is Long Jing. And now I'll take another one, T004. And this is the other one. So this is the highest quality because the leaves are smaller and a little bit fresher. And these are a little bit larger leaves. What you can also see is that these are greener, and this might be intentional. As I mentioned before, sometimes very early pluck is actually not roasted that much to leave that floral aroma. Remember that green tea in China is often associated with some florality, as many other teas as well. But so it's, although Long Jing has this roasting, but it's not uncommon to not have the roasting and have a little bit of a more delicate taste. So we've seen, oh no, what did I do? Oh, yes, we've seen that the leaves of Long Jing are very flat. This is because they are pressed against the wok. I will show you now I'll show you some pictures. First, let's look at the map, and then I'll share with you some photos. So for me, all this area, right, this mountain, I mean, it's just hills, it's not really mountain, but all this area is, of course, a Long Jing production, the very, very center and the most authentic Long Jing you can find. And if you want even more authentic, you know, not the authentic, it's everything, but the most precious tea in this area comes, of course, from the mountain around the Long Jing village itself. There is this hill you see here, and this is where I remember having been a few times, all around and just hiking around this hill. In my mind, the most famous Shihu Long Jing West, I write it here, Shihu Long Jing. It's very common to say in China Shihu Long Jing. It means the Long Jing from the West Lake. It means it comes from this area, because Long Jing can come also from other places and still being authentic, just not the super very original one. The most precious and famous Shihu Long Jing comes from the Lion's Peak, which is Shi Feng in Chinese. Shi means lion, Feng means peak. And actually it's even here on the map. Here, Shi Feng. So this is the most, there are just a couple of tiny gardens there. And the very top Long Jing comes from there. There was a question that I forgot. There was this mythical story of an emperor that took it in his leaves and cured her sick mother. It was something that Frank wrote. Not sure if this is still referring to Biluochun, probably. Could be. I mean, there are legends for every single tea. I don't know that specific one, Frank. I don't know. Were you referring to Long Jing? Sorry, to Biluochun? To Long Jing, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't remember right now the legends behind Long Jing. But you're probably right. There are these legends behind any famous Chinese tea. And I think another place that you want to remember if you go in this area is Meijiao. Meijiao is basically another village. It's no more Long Jing, but it's Long Jing actually. You just have to either go on the road and on this road and you reach Meijiao, or you can hike up the mountain, go down the other side and you reach Meijiao. There is also very good Long Jing from there. I said, assuming that you really get it right. It doesn't mean if you go to the Dongshan searching for Biluochun and you buy Biluochun from a farmer, I'm pretty confident that you get the tea from that area. If you go to Long Jing and you just buy tea by someone, it's very likely that it doesn't come from there. Now, let's share some photos of these places that I've been showing now on the map. So, this is Long Jing village. And so just to give you an idea, if you walk up there, it looks pristine. I mean, it's a forest and they do a lot of effort just forbidden to build further houses there. So you see now the city, Hangzhou, and also the one next to it has been growing all around Long Jing. So it's almost completely surrounding it, not 360, but almost. And it's still very neat and very nice garden actually. I remember, yes, finding this map. You see here there is Long Jing, the village, and you can walk all around, and it show you the distance and different places and different areas. So it's something relatively easy to walk around. These are pickers. Usually farmers in Long Jing are rich enough that they don't need to pick the leaves themselves, so they hire pickers from poorer provinces that come there during the season just to pick the leaves. You are here, and that's Lion's Peak. So this was, yes, a walk that we were doing there, and so the garden that you see here is the gardens around and about Lion's Peak. Then here is the view, I think, of Long Jing village. I'm not 100% sure. I think of Long Jing village from the top, from the road that goes to Lion's Peak. Here the guy is cleaning up the walk, and then she's firing the leaves there. You see similar fashion that what we have seen for Biluochun, and nonetheless the result is very different, because what you do with your hands is very different. And it's faster here because you press and you put the temperature higher of the wok and you press the leaves against the wok. So actually processing Long Jing in the wok is faster than Biluochun. Here you see that she presses the leaves directly on the wok to shape them flat. Here you see a very neat harvest, very fresh leaves and very small, very uniform. And here was just a tasting, and here you see a machine that basically you can have at home, and instead of doing walk by walk, you can put the leaves in there, and it's process them for you. I have also here a couple of videos so that you can appreciate the difference with respect to the processing of Biluochun that we have seen before. You see, she presses the leaves and then she brings them up in the air to cool them down. Look at the smoke that comes out of the leaves. They get a little bit burned. That's the roasting I was talking about. You don't see that in Biluochun, okay? And the wok is extremely hot, extremely hot. Like, I don't know how she can actually do that without gloves. But yeah, she just touched it and it's really, really, really hot. And I have also a video of that machine that does the job for you, let's say. So just you can get a feeling also of that. Still, you know, still local production. Of course, Long Jing is produced in factories in huge quantities with much larger machines. But still, you are at home, you don't have to do the job yourself, and you can turn the temperature here is heated electrically with electricity, and also the same we have seen in the wok for Long Jing, while for Biluochun it was gas. It's also another difference. And you see how the leaves get pressed here. All right, so now back to us. I mentioned to you that Long Jing doesn't not only come from Long Jing, and there is really Long Jing that I wouldn't consider authentic, that is really meant just to fool customers. So basically, it's tea done somewhere else in China that is not sold as tea from the place it comes from, but they label it, for example, as Shihu Long Jing from the West Lake. However, there are many regions in Zhejiang, in the Zhejiang province, Long Jing, Hangzhou are in the Zhejiang province, that are famous for Long Jing. And they don't need to hide themselves or label their tea differently. They can label their tea from the place they comes from, and it can be really good tea. Because if you go to Long Jing, you're not only not sure if you get the right thing, for one thing is sure, you pay a lot of money. And now, this is maybe, you know, by now you also get the feeling of why I haven't been sourcing tea for Long Jing village for a while. Like, I have farmers that I could contact them back, I visited them multiple times and I could get tea from them. And I know they have gardens there and they produce tea there, because when I was there, I went with them on the garden and came down with the tea leaves. An advantage of Biluochun and Long Jing that the processing is done in half an hour. So you can really go there, see the leaves picking, get them processed and bring them home. They cannot fool you that way. But as I showed you, it is next to a 13 million city with a huge pollution. Hangzhou is insane. It's extremely touristic. It's like, I don't know, although I was very excited, the first time I was there was 2013, quite some years ago. Over the years, I realized that I can find at least the same quality, if not better, Long Jing in other places in Zhejiang for more affordable prices, and then I opted for those. Watching these photos, yes, maybe I will go there again and see what I find after a few years. Was there just before COVID, as said, but I hope I remember that we will go back to Long Jing, and I would like to share with you also other locations that are more or less famous in Zhejiang for Long Jing, so that, well, just for general knowledge, but also that if you travel there, you go to Long Jing and you also that feeling, wow, it's super touristic here, and you want to see something different and more real. Maybe you can also travel to those other places, or if you cannot travel, you don't want to travel, maybe you search for those things. And I said, one thing is sure, you get really good quality, even better quality from other places than from a overly picked and overly touristic place next to a huge city. And so really searching for that authentic tea in the case of Long Jing, I don't advise it. I certainly advise it, for example, in the case of Biluochun. So we will get back to Long Jing in one of the future T101 classes. But now we have just a few minutes left, so probably I won't start with the next tea. But before leaving, I want to ask you, what do you think is the third most famous green tea in China? You know, the most famous is an easy question, Long Jing. If you drink tea for a while, you know that. If I ask you the second most famous, maybe you would have guessed Biluochun, or maybe you would have said, I don't know, Anji Bai Chao, for example, I mentioned before. Now, what do you think is the third most famous?
I would say Taiping Hokui.
Taiping Hokui. So we have Georgi says Taiping Hokui. I read here we have Anji Bai Cha is written. Christopher say Maofeng. Angie says Guapian.
Say Suyajing.
Suyajing. Anything else? I see that Detlef raised.
Maybe Maojian.
Maojian. Okay, so I'll do like this just because there were a lot of words, so I just write them here so that you can see them. So we had people saying Anji Baicha is one. Okay, then Zhu Yeqing should be written like this, I think. Yep, Zhu Yeqing was mentioned by Mao Tzu. Then we had Taiping Hokui was also mentioned. So you see how many there are, you know, Hokui, and these are all famous for sure. Then there was mentioned Guapian, which is actually Luan Guapian to be complete, this other one. And then actually what I find interesting is that among these are all single specific teas. Like if we say Zhu Yeqing, we mean an exactly specific tea from a specific area. If you say Luan Guapian, it's the Guapian from Luan. It comes only from the Luan area, which is not very big. But if, and I want to mention two other that you mentioned here on the streaming. One is Maofeng. And Georgi, what did you say as the second one? Maojian. Maojian was another one. Okay, sorry, not like this, but like this. Now, another question for for the people that are watching this class live. What's the difference between a Maofeng or a Maojian and all the other teas that I wrote before here? There is a key difference between either Maofeng or Maojian and any other teas we have discussed today. I could write Long Jing, I could write Biluochun, I could write Taiping Hokui, and so on. They aren't from a specific location, question mark. Yeah, that's more or less the point. Maofeng and Maojian are not specific tea. The two terms, Maofeng and Maojian, refers to the processing, or even better, to the shape of the leaves. So, if you say, for example, a very famous tea is, I don't know, Maofeng, then actually you have to specify which Maofeng, because Maofeng there are many. And this is something we will look also into it a little bit closer, so that you can maybe with the next class we will speak a little bit more about that. I know it's complicated, that is Chinese, and but I would say that all the teas you mentioned are very famous, and I would say that historically, if we think about teas that maybe people from my generation, the generation before mine, and the generation before would list as top 3 teas in China, probably, right? They would say Long Jing, Biluochun, and Huangshan Maofeng. Huangshan Maofeng. However, as I mentioned before, nowadays I'm 100% sure that even in China, Anji Baicha is way more famous than Huangshan Maofeng as a tea. Okay, we will stick to our tradition, let's say, and next time I will speak to you about Huangshan Maofeng, and then we will continue the story. Just before completing, it's not that every class that we will do about green tea, I will speak about only 2 teas. Like today we had the 2 most famous one, Long Jing and Biluochun, and you know, there is a lot to say. And actually for Long Jing we are not completed, so I will continue next time. But we will speed up a little bit when we speak about the different other types of tea. I don't have actually photos of every single famous the location of every single famous green tea, because I would say that yes, the vast majority of our green tea comes from farmers that I have visited personally there, and I source directly tea from there. But then over the years what happens is that also you have other friends that suggest you some other teas, or you know that the friends come from a place that is famous for a specific tea, and you prefer, or I prefer, to ask them to source the tea for me. I will explain also these different approaches to sourcing maybe next time, and if I don't, please remind me. There was a question from Detlef, isn't Maofeng from Huangshan? The most famous Maofeng is from Huangshan. That's not the only one. Okay, like look, without going too far, sorry, I'm just going back because I mentioned, I saw a question. There was a question whether Maofeng is from Huangshan. If you go on our website and you search for Maofeng, okay, you find Qingmen Maofeng, which is a black tea. That's already an indication. Is a black tea that is shaped like a Maofeng, so it has the pointy shape of a Maofeng. Would be this one here. It's these slender leaves, you see, these slender leaves. But I just noticed that it's not online right now, but just because it's not online you cannot find. But we had also Xinyan Maofeng, which is another famous Maofeng from another location. And with that I forgot what I was saying before reading the question. But yes, I was mentioning probably that I'm not gonna share as much information for every single tea, but I would like also to spend some time in explaining you different strategies and different approaches that at least we have at nannuoshan for sourcing green tea. And yeah, maybe this also gives you a little bit more complete pictures and also behind the scene into the business. So for those that are watching from YouTube, thanks a lot for watching. Next week we will continue with green tea. So this video will come out in a few days, and then a week later you will have a follow-up. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.